Sankalpajalamalmutsruja nirvikalpam ashritya nischayamavapnuhi Rama Shantim. Sankalpajalakalanayiva jagat samagram. What better pronouncement and description do you look for? Samagram jagad, the whole jagat, the whole universe, with all its multi-splendorous display. Sankalpajalakalanayiva. Sankalpajalakalanayiva. It is the widespread net of sankalpa, imagination, the creative thoughts of the mind alone. Whenever you experience the universe or the world, tell me, where are you experiencing? Is it 1 millimeter away from the mind? Or it is completely in the mind, the experience is? Suppose I insert a thin film to obstruct the light rays entering the eye. Will I ever see a form? So the perception of all forms and colors, it is taking place inside the body, in the mind. All imprints are formed there. And it is the mind's assessment. The consciousness within your body extends itself to become the whole universe. Besides the mind, there is nothing. Sankalpajala kalanaiva jagat samagram. It is you who say, so many trees are there. This has got so much of thickness. It is so old. Here is the sky. Here is the ocean. Here is the land. These are so many items here. So many stars. It is you who points out all these things. Nobody else. Sankalpajala kalanaiva jagat samagram. Sankalpajala kalanatu mano vilasaha. Only by virtue of the mind's own assessment, imagination, thought, comparison, contrast, inference, conclusion and what not. Every kind of experience, knowledge, assessment, outcome, happiness, resulting, happiness, unhappiness, everything is mind's own display, mind's own display, mind's own manifestation. Each color is assessed by what? When you see a rainbow, you say, beautiful rainbow, 7 colors are there. Who is making the 7 colors? The eyes are making, but themselves they cannot make. So the mind employs the senses to make the imprint of the rainbow in itself. So you see only the mentally painted, mind imprinted rainbow. The outside rainbow you don't see at all. Outside itself is an ocean, caused and produced and preserved by the mind. Sankalpajala kalanatu mano vilasaha. Sankalpajalam alam utsruja. Rama. You have been indulging in sankalpa forever and ever. Ever since we grew up as a baby, maybe by the time we reached 3 or 4 years, the sankalpa process started. And we have been doing only this imagination. Every calculation is done in the mind. Is it not enough? Is it not ample? For many janmas this sankalpana process is going on. So stop it. Utsruja, leave it. It is my mind and my mind's witchcraft, handicraft, display, manifestation. That alone projects all these things. So I will now ask the mind, as it is going to sleep every day, today without sleeping, I will make the mind wipe off all sankalpas and imprints in it. The mind forms the imprints. If for sleep, it can forget and obliterate all the imprints. Remaining wakeful also, I will ask the mind to wipe off all the imprints. And then nirvikalpamasritya, instead of sankalpa, I will reach nirvikalpa. No second factor. The mind and the mind substance consciousness alone is. I will not allow it to become diversified, plural. All the reflections stop and I become the reflecting surface. Because the reflection is not there, object is not there, I cannot call it a reflecting surface also. So it becomes the original, the transcendental presence. Nirvikalpamashritya nishchayam avapnuhi Rama shantim. You attain that nirvikalpa state, Rama, and shantim apnuhi. Gain that quietude, that inner composure and placidity, that serenity which will come to you when the mind becomes pure. The mind becomes the Chidakasha, just like the autumn sky. The autumn sky is a Dravyakasha. Inside it is sentient Akasha, the Chidakasha. Understand that the whole world is a display of Sankalpa. And Sankalpa belongs to the mind. So it is a display of the mind. Sankalpajala kalanaiva jagat samagram. Sankalpajala kalanattu manovilasaha. Sankalpajala malam utsruja nirvikalpamashritya nishchayam avapnuhi Rama shantim. See, this is spoken to a 16-year-old prince. Not 60-year-old king, 16-year-old prince. Spirituality is always for the young. Because you don't accept it, you neglected it, you are obliged to take to it at 60 and later. Better encourage your children to take to it at young age, as Sri Rama did, as Prahlada did, his classmates did, as Dhruva did. Don't quote some other examples. Here is a young Rama, a 16-year-old Rama, listening to Vasishtha for 18 days, from sunrise to sunset. See, what is the relationship and relevance there? In another verse he says, Sankalpa samkshaya vashad galite tu chitte samsara moha mihiga galita bhavanti. Swacham vibhadi sharadiva khamagatayam chinmatrameghamajamadhyam anantamantaha. These two verses, I think if you learn them, you don't need anything else for spirituality, sadhana, progress and fulfillment. Sankalpa samkshaya vashad galite tu chitte. Wonderful expression. Galite tu chitte. When the mind falls, it simply disappears. Sankalpa samkshaya vashad galite tu chitte samsara moha mihiga galita bhavanti. What is meant by the falling of the mind? The falling or the cessation of the mind processes. What is the mind process? Sankalpana. So the mind is given to thinking. Do you need any special enlightenment about it? Have you experienced any time when you have no thought, no feelings and no imaginations? Ceaselessly the mind is thinking. Ceaselessly it is thinking. Sankalpa samkshaya vashad. So from today onwards you start understanding that the whole world is the mind's display. And the mind is personally within your body. So the source of creation is within you in the form of the mind. Understanding that it is so, lay hands upon its sankalpa, futile imaginations, unnecessary calculations, expectations, assessments. Arjuna made a lot of hue and cry after reaching the battlefield. Was it ever necessary? There were so many other fighters. Bhishma and Drona also were there. None of them mourned, none of them lamented, none of them cried, none of them fretted and fumed. Why is it that Arjuna alone? It is all a process of the mind, the witchcraft of the mind. So, treat the sankalpas and make them attenuated. Don't try to increase the thought process. Try to be specific and thin down the process of thinking. Make light of everything. Be slow. As a running man will be walking and the walking man will be slower and slower, And ultimately the slowest walking is cessation. In the same manner, reduce the speed of your thinking, the density of your thinking. Make the thoughts light, thinner, until at last it becomes one with the consciousness itself. Sankalpa samkshayavashat galite tu chitte. When the sankalpas attain dissolution, the mind literally falls. When the mind falls like this, samsara mohamihiga galita bhavanti. When your mind becomes calm, the outside world will not be there. Maybe a huge drama is going on and so many people are spectators. Suppose your mind becomes thin, calm and slow, the whole drama will have no effect for you. So the entire samsara, the world, the worldliness as a whole, it is just like so many clouds in the sky. Mohamihika, the clouds of the worldly delusion. The delusion of the mind is actually the clouds of the world. All those clouds you will find, they disappear. Galita bhavanti. Where? You don't know. Simply they will be falling. Sankalpa samkshayavashat galite tu chitte. Samsara mohamihiga galita bhavanti. Swachham vibhadi sharadiva khamagatayam. Chinmatramegam ajamadyam anantamantaha. I wish all of you knew Sanskrit well enough. So beautifully the concept is presented. There are some viewers who tell me, Swamiji, when you recite the Sanskrit verses and explain, we find such a splendor and luster in your face. But when you have to explain the same thing in another language, then apparently your face shrinks, they say. I don't know whether it is true. Swachham vibhadi sharadiva khamagatayam chinmatramegam ajamadyam anantamantaha. First of all, he spoke about sankalpa jala, and the sankalpa should be attenuated. Now he says, Swachham vibhadi sharadiva khamagatayam. When all the dense clouds, they disappear from the sky. This generally happens in the autumn season, Sharatkala. In the Sharatkala, you will not find any water clouds anywhere in the sky. So the sky becomes clear. And when the sky becomes clear in the autumn, Swachham vibhadi, that is the real color of the sky. You cannot see that color in all the other seasons. In the same manner, Chinmatramegam ajamadyam anantamantaha, that chit, consciousness, matra, it becomes alone, with no shade, no color, no illusory display. No mental stigma will be there. Chinmatram egam, that remains alone and singular. Ajam, unborn. Can you say Akasha is born? You can say clouds are born. Various forms of energy are getting born, they get dissipated. You cannot say the Akasha is born. Chinmatramehagam ajam adyam anantam antaha. This is the original state, that primordial state. That primordial state. In the sky you cannot experience it, it is an object. Perhaps it is the first to evolve in the Panchabhautik universe. But inside, we are going beyond the Panchabhutas. When we are dwelling in the mind, we have transcended the Panchabhutas. Having transcended the Panchabhutas, all the clouds of thoughts and imaginations also vanish. What do you think of that state? The entire reflection of the world in your mind completely subsides, leaving the mind to its own pristine splendor. And that splendor is the real sentient sky. Chinmatramehagam ajamadyam anantamantaha. You will find the infinitude, the real infinitude as an experience. That infinitude on which the external infinitude gets imprinted, you will find that right antaha within your body. This body is no hindrance to it. Apparently the body is very limited. Within the limited body you will find an infinitude. What infinitude? Sentient infinitude or infinite sentience. One of the two. It will start shining there, independently, in a sovereign manner. The shining of the world is depending upon your mind. But the mind's luster, it depends on nothing else. As long as there are thoughts, imaginations, reflections of objects, various diverse feelings, etc., it is not the true one. Let the mind be rid of, let it be freed from all these illusory clutches, and see what is happening. It is just like the Sharatkala sky, the autumn sky. You will find the sentient sky inside you. Sankalpa samkshaya vashad galite tu chitte samsara moha mihika galita bhavanti swacham vibhadi sharadiva kamagatayam chinmatrame gamajamahadyam anantamantaha. This is from Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana. Vasishtha tells the 16-year-old prince. There is another beautiful statement which extols the mind. Manaso bhyudayo nasho mano nasho mahodayaha nyamano nashamabhyedi manojnyasya hi shringhala. Manaso bhyudayo nasho mano nasho mahodayaha. See, Vasishtha is emphasizing. The sole source is the mind. And where is the mind? Within your body. This is something unimaginable, unacceptable also. That is why people don't become self-realized. You think the world is universe, big, endless. The endlessness is a magnitude the mind reveals and shows that you are not prepared to think because of our conventional delusion and illusion. Manaso bhyudayo nasho. When the mind means the thought pattern, the emotional pattern, the inquiry, the knowledge, the memory, all these multiple functions of the mind, when they start rising, emerging, nasho, everything is gone. You are destroyed as an individual. The moment the plurality pro-mind arises in you, it is destruction. Mano nasho mahodayaha. When the mind falls or dies, that mahodayaha, the super emergence takes place. Nyamano nashamabhyedi. Who is a knower of truth? Who is a tattvajna? A tattvajnani is one in whom the mind has dissipated. The mind has gone. In other words, that duality producing mechanism stops forever, disappears forever. Nyamano nashamabhyedi manojnyasya hi shrinkhala. The mind of the ignorant person alone acts as a binding chain. What a beautiful verse. You should understand these two expressions here. Manasaha abhyudayaha nashaha. The arising or emergence of the mind is really the spiritual destruction. And the extinction of the mind is really the supreme spiritual emergence. There is a little pun also in the words here. Manaso bhyudayo nasho mano nasho mahodayaha nyamano nashamabhyedi manojnyasya hi shrinkhala. What do you mean by self-knowledge? Is it only speaking like this, hearing like this, reading like this? No, far away. If you are a knower of truth, it means that the mind process, that witchcraft called the mind display, it has come to a stop. You will never think of a non-self. You will never think God plus or God minus. There is only godliness. You are godly. The world is godly. Senses are godly. Everything becomes the same. Chideva dehastu chideva lokaha chideva bhutani chidindriyani karta chidandah karanam chideva chideva satyam paramartha rupam. This is the stage that you reach to. Chideva dehastu, this body, that is also an awareness in my mind. So the deha is not a deha, that is chit, the consciousness. Chideva logaha, the world also is a perception. The perception belongs to the perceiving consciousness. So it is an imprint in the consciousness. Being so, it's all consciousness. Nothing different from it. Chideva dehastu chideva lokaha chideva bhutani chidindriyani. The Panchabhutas are also chit. The senses also are chit. Karta chid, the feeling of the kartrutva, the doership. That doership cannot belong to matter and energy. It is a cognition, it is a recognition, it is a comprehension. That comprehension belongs to only consciousness. So that karta in you is consciousness. Karta chid andhakaranam chideva. Our andhakarana, the inner equipment, it is not a part of the body. It is not a part of the matter or energy. Body is made up of matter and energy. It transcends matter. Because it transcends matter, it can only be consciousness. Chideva satyam paramartha rupam. So chit alone is the satya. And all the others are just display, manifestation. Manasobhyudayo nasho, mano nasho, mahodayaha, jamano nashamabhyedi, mano jnasyahi shrinkhala. Let us go to Bhagavatam itself. In the Navayogi dialogue, I told you a verse from Kavi's version. Now this is Hari speaking. He categorizes devotion as of 3 kinds. And he says that Murti Puja or Vigraha Puja, the idol worship, that is the lowest, he says. Sabhaktaha prakrita smritaha. The second one is developing, preserving parallelly 4 different attitudes. Ishvare tadadhineshu balisheshu dvishassuja prema maitri kripopeksha yah karoti samadhyamaha. You have to develop prema towards God, maitri towards the devotees, balisheshu upeksha, no kripa, people who are not very wise, who talk nonsense, prattle things, you must have sympathy towards them, not hatred. And then so far as people who dislike and are unfriendly to you, upeksha, simply forget them, renounce them. Now these are 4 different attitudes for which your mind alone is the base. For the other pujas you require flowers, you require an idol, you require a place, you require assistance, etc. Very elaborate and dependent. Here you can practice it in your own mind. 4 different attitudes during your interaction and life. That person is a mediocre devotee. And what is the other one? The superb devotee? He describes in this manner. Grihitva bindriyairarthan yo nadveshti na hrishyati vishnor mayamidam pashyan savai bhagavatottamaha. Savai bhagavatottamaha. He indeed is the superb devotee who grihitva bindriyairarthan. When the senses interact with the sensory objects distributed in the world, yo nadveshti, who does not undergo hatred, na hrishyadi, or special delight. Where have we come to now? Tell me. We are discussing devotion. The first devotion is idol worship. The second one is preserving in the mind 4 noble attitudes. And towards God only fondness, nothing else. All the other attitudes are towards the people. Now in the superb devotion, no such externality is there. No such diversion is there. The sole focus is on your own mind. We are living in this world. Ever since we came out of the mother's womb, interactions with the world started. And in all these interactions, what happens? The mind constantly undergoes stress, strain, and a plurality of notions, responses, and reactions. Submit them, and make sure that your mind does not swing, does not swerve. All the attitudes can be telescoped into only two, dvesha and harsha. Dvesha means hatred, harsha means delight, rejoicing. Do not undergo either. Let the senses interact with the sensory objects in any manner that they like. You remain, hold the reins of the mind, and never allow the mind to swing to either hatred or delight. Keep the two away, sublimate them. Uniformize them, make them even. And what is the thought process you will adopt for it? Vishnor mayamidam pashyan. The entire creation is an illusory display of Mahavishnu.